they raped and stabbed. One of them raped and stabbed Marcia Laws. This is when I came into the picture, right? Brutally raping and stabbing her, right, in front of her children.
Wow.
And then subsequently to that, we had another informer come into the country. This time brought in by somebody of Jamaican origin here, who shot women bound, gagged on their knees, point blank in their heads, 3 mothers in front of their children, as a failure to pay some drug debt. So I had mothers coming to my house all the time saying, you speak about the police, you speak about injustice, what about, why aren't they catching the killer of my son?
Right.
I said to myself,
then Operation Trident.
I said, let's try and do something. Trident was born out of it.
So now you said you think it's been hijacked.
Well, it's definitely, because what happened is that Boris Johnson, whereas before it was a discrete service that was only in relation to black on black murder,
right,
where a group of black people from the community would go out with police officers and say, we need to give these people up, man.
Okay.
Right, so work in partnership.
Okay.
That was the basis of it. When Boris came in, he then said, no, we don't want Trident as a discrete premium murder investigation service for black people. We want it as an anti-gangs unit, inferring that all gangs in London.
When did that change? When did that change come?
2009, I think.
And that was under Boris Johnson?
Yeah. He'd been in power 2 years by that stage.
So I'm guessing you don't like Boris Johnson very much?
No. That would be an understatement.
Right.
I've still got the scars on my back from the 2008 campaign where I was on the front page of the Evening Standard, the Daily Mail, the Daily Telegraph, the Sunday Times, every day.
Do you know, I watched that, I read that.
Yeah. From
They went after you.
Listen, they cleaned my closet, man. There was nothing left. I'm the most other than Winston Silcott.
Right, yeah.
I think I must be one of the most investigated black men in the United Kingdom.
Wow.
And they spent 2.5 years investigating me. I was investigated by the Audit Commission, HMR Tax, the police, the GLA.
So what were the accusations that they lobbied against you?
Everything. £3.5 million, giving money to black organisations that were criminal organisations, actually funding organisations to get kids out of
They
gangs.
said you were funding criminal organisations?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I had a big unit down there. I gave an entire 70 square foot, 1,000 foot building down by the Oval, Offaly Road, called Offaly Works.
Yeah, I know.
I gave that over to the black community in Lambeth just to do anti-gang work.
Right.
Everybody down there. It was so huge. Supplementary school, filming, recording, taekwondo, everything was down there.
Right.
And they said that was a nest of criminals. And what we were doing is working with the PDC.
So you were basically trying to help your own community?
I was bringing the PDC off the road.
PDC?
Yeah, that's what we were
For
doing.
people that don't know, PDC is quite a notorious gang.
Absolutely. And we were working with them to bring them off the road. We were saying, the music that you're making is enough, right, to be able to give you the kind of income you want. Come into the studio. And so what we used to do, and every Sunday afternoon, because my office was just around the corner from Offaly Works, we used to run gang mediation. So we'd have all sorts of gangs coming in who were popping off at each other and try and get them a mediation. But because I had the recording studio and all the resources, I was able to say, you can't come in here unless you agree to drop the beef.
Drop the beef, okay.
So before they dropped the beef, they had to have a discussion. So Sunday afternoons, 4 o'clock would be mediation.
So you got Trident, right?
Yeah.
So you seem like you were actually trying to help.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
You got Trident. Now, Trident is an organisation that apparently tries to help.
Today?
Right? That's what it tries to do. It tries to help.
Right.
Right. So, the police force is institutionally racist.
Yeah.
Is it possible for them to have an organisation in there that helps black people?
It is possible. So if you're a victim of
Because
rape,
it sounds a bit oxymoronish to me.
well, if you're a victim of rape, and the rape unit comes to investigate and they prosecute your case and you're a black woman, then you can say, yes, the police services work for me.
Right.
So it is possible, but the problem is that it's like the default setting of British society is institutionally racism. There are periods where they go for good practice and stretch themselves, but they always snap back. And that's what's happened with the United Kingdom in terms of equality, race equality and so on, and it's tackling institutionalized racism.
Because now we have a big knife crime problem.
Yeah.
Right? And so I understand that your family, your son
my
was
son.
stabbed.
Absolutely. My son's not a gang member or any such thing. We've lived in Brixton for 30 years. He's coming home from rugby practice one day, pops out of the tube station just by our house, sees a fight happening involving one little guy who was a pupil at his school. And so he's been attacked by a big guy with a knife. Son being what it is, Dad taught him, you know, don't walk away, son, if you can do something.
Right.
And so he made an intervention by grabbing this kid, and the same time as he tried to grab the kid, the offender lunged at him, stabbed him. So we were, for that 2 hours in Kings with tubes in and out of his body, waiting to be told if our son was going to live or die.
Is he okay now?
He's fine, yeah. He's 1 inch away from his artery, because if you can imagine your hip flexor here,
right,
the blade went in there. So you know it's a major artery to your leg. So he was very lucky. So yeah, we've been personally affected by knife crime, but not only me. I mean, you know, I've counselled. People don't realise, you know, I spend a lot of my time counselling the mothers of the dead.
Right.
Giving them trauma therapy, giving them counselling, trying to raise some money so I can pay for funerals and send them on holidays and stuff like that. That's almost as important as anything else that we can do in relation
most definitely
to these issues.
Do you think our current mayor of London is helping that, Sadiq Khan?
No, I think he's in the right general direction, but I don't think he's got the advice around him that he needs to come up with the real creative policy that will make a real difference in relation to tackling violence in our community. It's interesting, people talk about knife violence.
Yeah.
But the biggest act of violence in our community is the murder of black women through domestic violence. The figures are far higher than knife violence.
Right.
But you wouldn't.
I haven't heard that.
People would not necessarily know that because it's not the image that the media wishes to portray.
Yeah.
The most frightening image is not of a black man killing his wife. We're happy for that to go on. What they're trying to do is actualize the image of the dangerous black youth with a knife in his back pocket and ready, and will kill at a moment's notice. And that's a useful trope for them to use to smear all black men, all black communities.
Because, all right, so I'm just going to give my take now because, like I said, I'm a nationalist at my core.
Yeah.
So I am about, like I said, I'm about creating systems for ourselves, okay, to help ourselves.
Yeah.
So, and I always use an analogy of a rainforest. If you woke up in a rainforest tomorrow, there's poisonous snakes, poisonous frogs, there's jaguars, there's a whole load of stuff. Okay, so you can really bitch and complain about the forest, or you could do something as to how to get through and live within that forest. And so I find for myself, I find a lot of people do bitch and complain and don't try to use the forest or what's around them, right, and find systems as to how to live. I think that a lot of black people have become very used to relying on a system that we know does not benefit us to the fullest degree of what it can do. So my son's 5, right? And after school he comes home and he's doing literacy books for 7-year-olds and maths for 7-year-olds, and he's 5, right? Now the only reason why he's doing that is because I love him. The system's not paid to love my child. No. Right? I love him. So the reason why I always speak to black people, I say, who loves you more than you? So what are you going to do? Because just like I love my son, I'm going to do for him. The system does not pay to love you. And I think we have relied on, we will complain about a system, the police system, the education system. That's 50-50. You can get through or you can not get through. But what extra are you doing? Because I'm doing extra for my son so he can, but we sit down there complaining about something. A lot of us, I'm not saying all of us, but we sit down complaining, and it's like, well, we actually have the tools at our disposal to create something, just like you did. But now it's like we need to come together more so than we have to do something.
So racism in the United Kingdom and Europe can only get worse for our community because their economic situation can only decline still further. And on opposite that, you've got the rise.
So you think there's going to be a bigger rise of racism?
Yeah, absolutely. There is now increased racist attacks since the Brexit vote, religious attacks since the Brexit vote. There is a degree of nationalism and a willingness for white people to say things to black people on tubes and trams that
I've seen some videos.
That stuff was supposed to be looked back in the 50s, not today. And the other thing is quite curious, is that our people are being affected by the same neoliberal racism. We're not immune to it, even though we're victims of it. We're not immune to it because it's such a powerful social virus on your media and on your TV and in your newspapers. You end up believing that Brexit was a good thing.
But this is the thing though, Lee, right?
Stop Eastern Europeans and I'll get a job.
I don't think, right, nationalism needs to be violent.
No.
I don't think it needs to be. I'm a nationalist, I'm not violent, I'm not advocating the killing of anyone or, you know, shouting at anyone on the tubes and all this kind of stuff. I think that a lot of people generally get nationalism a bit mixed up. Like, you can be a British nationalist, and I advise everyone to be one. Chinese, be a nationalist, you know, like Indian, be a nationalist. You're for your people, you want to do for your people, go ahead. I think what happens is some people think nationalism means we're supposed to hate someone, or someone's
I
supposed
think
to be hated.
nationalism has been hijacked, because every time I see a Union Jack, I have to check myself and not start running. Because when I grew up, when I saw that flag coming, I knew trouble was never far behind it. So it might be that your generation has a slightly different orientation to it. My generation, I've seen what nationalism, ugly, white, supremacist nationalism looks like. And I'll tell you what it looks like. It comes in national garbs, dressed in a suit, trying to convince black people that it's a non-racist entity. That's what I've seen, you know.
No, I hear you, because I mean, I had an interview with Tommy Robinson, and people were saying, people still say a lot of stuff about Tommy Robinson, whether you think he's a racist or not, like people can decide whatever. But if he's because I asked him in an interview if he was a nationalist, and he said, he's a British nationalist. And I said, okay, so I don't see you calling for the death of anyone. Do you know what I mean? I told him I was a nationalist too, and I'm not calling for the death of anyone. I'm thinking, if we actually understand each other's politics more, then there can be a conversation has to be had. I'm just saying, because the more we don't have conversations is the more we might build up what we think the other one is thinking.